Hey everyone, Bobby D here again. Thanks for popping in back over here at the BS Zone. If you own a motorcycle or you're new to owning a motorcycle, you're going to quickly realize that there's some service and there's some maintenance that is a little bit more important than others. And there's some service and some maintenance that's easier to do than others. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the service components or maintenance things, if you may call it that is actually easier to do, but one of the more important ones, and that is maintaining your chain. So I've got some content out that I talk a little bit about the importance of adjusting your chain and using some of the Motion Pro tools to get your chain slack just right. But today, I'm going to go spend a couple minutes and talk about maintaining your chain as far as cleanliness and lubricating it. If your chain breaks, you have all kinds of host of problems. I'm not even going to get into that. You can use a little bit of common sense. A broken chain is not going to be good for you and probably not your motorcycle when it spools up and around. So with that, let's get at it. I'm going to go through how I maintain a chain as far as cleanliness and lubrication and the importance of doing so. All right, so here we go. I have got my Kawasaki ZX14R with a relatively new chain. So with that said, this chain isn't inherently dirty with road grime and things of that nature or aftermarket lubrication. But if you look real close at this chain, you can see that white grease tight film that a lot of us are really familiar with if you've put a new chain on your motorcycle. Most of the time, if you don't clean that stuff off before you mount the chain or you go for a ride, it ends up flung and all over, your motorcycle. Now my bike, this one, I plan to ride this bike and get caught in some rain and some bad weather and things. So I've left the chain guard on this bike. Now this thing's not going to provide much protection, but it does keep road grime, from getting slung up into your shock and all over your motorcycle. That's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about keeping this chain clean versus keeping the motorcycle itself clean. So some of you may realize that I continue to talk more about cleanliness of the chain versus lubricating the chain. Modern sport bikes, really most modern bikes other than motocross bikes, all come with sealed chains, meaning they have O-rings, X-rings, or some other brand name ring that they put in there. In essence, what that means is there is a grommet or an O-ring between the links that's sealing in the grease or the lubricant of sorts. So when you spray chain lube, really what you're doing is lubricating the outside of the chain and preventing corrosion. The chain slides on this rubber glide here and up in here, and really the chain lube itself can be more problematic by making a mess, covering up speedometer sensors and things like that. So what I'm going to focus on is really the importance of keeping a chain clean. By cleaning the chain, you're removing the abrasive things, you're removing the grime, the road grit, the dirt and things that get stuck on the outside of your chain, as well as the chemicals and things, salts, that cause corrosion and make your non-coated chain. This here is a black chain. Many of us have gold ones, but if you have a plain steel chain that came on your new motorcycle that's not coated, the road salts and other chemicals will quickly cause that chain to look like trash, even though it works well, but it's gonna rust on the outside. First thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys how I will clean a chain off and then start to apply some lubrication. I like to use these Maxima products for my chain. This one here is chain cleanup. And then the next step, what I use is the MPPL, and this is it's sort of a cleanup, but this right here is something I would call this really equal to WD-40, but the lubrication properties are better. It is somewhat of a solvent, but this is step 2, and then we're gonna go to the chain guard. So the first thing we're gonna do, if you have a chain that's not extremely dirty, we're gonna start out getting some gloves on and getting a rag. If you got caught in the rain or out on a dirty road or something really bad and your chain is just a real bad mess, when you spray the Maxima chain cleanup on, you're going to wanna actually hose the chain off to get this product off. But for our purposes, this chain is a new chain, and what we're trying to do is clean off some of the factory sticky grease that was on the chain, as well as some moderate road grime that I've got on it. So let's start off with spraying some of the Maxima chain up on first. All right, so the Maxima chain up has a bearing in there, so you want to shake this stuff up a little bit to get some of the cleaning compounds moved around a little bit, and then we're going to simply soak the chain some. Not going to put a lot more because this chain is not extremely dirty. However, again, if this chain was really bad, I would let this sit and then I would hit it with a garden hose, not a power washer, but a good stream of water. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a rag, gonna get it in here, and it may be easier to remove the chain guard on this bike, but we're gonna start with just wiping it down. Step 2, we're going to put the MPPL on. And again, this is somewhat of a cleaner, but it is also a lubricant, and it's gonna seep down in to those O-rings and to those X-rings and kind of hydrate the rubber. That's what this one's for. Oh, time out. Make sure you don't get these on your tire, or if you do, which you may, it's kind of common to do that, make sure you wash that stuff off really good. Obviously, it's lubrication, gonna be slippery. I also like to run the rag along the back sprocket and wipe off some of the extra lubrication that may have been on there, or as well remove the front sprocket cover and degrease that area really good. That area tends to build up with all kinds of gunk. Not going to do it on this bike today because I did it before I put the new chain on, but that's a good tip. Remove your front sprocket cover and clean that nastiness. I'm going to wipe this one more time so I can get by the back sprocket here. And our final step, we're going to apply some lubrication to the outside of the chain. And again, what this is doing is providing a film on the outside of the chain for corrosion resistance, and it's lubricating the sprockets and this rubber guide more than really the internals of the chain. The MPPL is doing more for lubricating the internal function of the chain than the actual chain guard. I like the Maxima chain guard because it's not really messy and it's clear. It doesn't fling around as much. So let's put a coat of this on before we start cleaning the bike back up. Now last but least, I'm going to wipe the extra off, because if I don't, it's going to be flinging all over the bike and making an extra mess. All right, so here you have it. This is the chain on the ZX14R that is properly cleaned and properly lubricated. The last couple things that I have to do is clean up the extra cleaning solutions and the lubrication that dripped all over, as well as on the tire here. Now, I like to keep denatured alcohol in the garage. I'll put some denatured alcohol on a rag, spin the tire, and wipe this down and clean any of the residual lubrication and cleaning stuff up, and then I'll hit it with a spray wax just to, further keep the protection in place as far as that stuff not sticking in the future. So, all right, so there you have it. That's how I properly clean and lubricate a modern sport bike chain. Again, this is super important. If you've got a new bike or you're new to riding a sport bike, keeping your chain clean is extra important. A dirty chain is gonna wear out quicker. Premature wear is gonna lead to problems, breakdowns, and just issues that you do not wanna experience. For about $25 or $30 in products, in a couple minutes of your time during each oil change, or if you get caught in the rain or something, keeping your chain clean, properly adjusted, and mildly lubricated is gonna save you a lot of hassle, and you're gonna get more time out on the road on your bike. Hope you find this well. Get out there on the bike. I'll see you guys next time.